Alright, take number 2 because I had an awkward angle. But what is up, guys? These kids are in my way. But currently, thank you kids for moving out of the way. Now here we are for the first review. I decided I would do it, the first one in my car because I have space. But here we are for a review of the classic zombie film that I watched last night, directed by the man himself, George A. Romero, Dawn of the Dead. I have this with me because I'm currently about to go for a run, so you'll probably see some cuts in between. But what more can I say about Dawn of the Dead? When I watched it, I can see why it's a classic. It is so well done. The pacing, the story, the actors, the plot, has everything you'll look for. What it's basically about is you see all these craze about zombies and all that, and at the beginning it takes place in a radio show kind of area, and then you see this lady there who becomes important to the plot later. Then you see these kind of guys who are, quote, conspiracy nut jobs. But I like the build. One thing that the film, I think, does very right is the build-up. Like, you see it slowly get more and more and more intense. Now, this isn't I would put this number 2 as my favorite zombie films, because my favorite is Day of the Dead. I will say this right now. Day of the Dead, 1985, is my favorite zombie film of all time. But there's a lot of scenes that make this rival it. But I think Day of the Dead just knocks it out by an inch. Like, for example, you see them trying to get away, and they bring some people. Like, you have Ken Foree, who plays I was going to say Roger, but he plays Peter, who you see he's very shy, he's very nervous, that sort of thing. But, like, for example, in the opening scene, you see them go to this apartment, and there's this big shootout that happens on a roof, and people do get killed, and it's brutal. Like, first, you see the National Guard, you see SWAT guys, and for example, the SWAT guys come out with the people rioting, and people get shot in the head, they get shot in the chest, and it makes an impact. Like, for example, one of the people comes out there, one of the guys gets shot in the head, boom, right there, one of the SWAT guys, and then another scene happens where one of the guys, when they're fighting with the SWAT guys, one of them warns him, don't go out there, and then he gets, boom, right in the head. So one thing this film does right is, it is intense. That's what I like. It is intense. And the atmosphere and the score I wouldn't say is the most memorable in my opinion. It fits, but it's not the most memorable. That's the only thing I think about it, is that you could add a tiny bit more of a memorable score, but there's a lot of stuff that work. Like, for example, you get the 3 people you get is the lady in the beginning. You have a scene after that where you see the county sheriffs and these rednecks shooting up zombies, and you see this music play, and then it keeps building up. You see them move locations in a helicopter, and then one scene, for example, is when they're all shooting out, and then Ken Foree, he hides out at a coffee place. Well, not a coffee place, but like he's at an airfield where he's fueling up the helicopter. I'm not sure. Someone can leave down in the comments if they like, but he's at this airfield. It's clear to go. He's at this airfield, and then they're refilling the helicopter, and then the zombies ambush them there. And one of the scenes you see is they're shooting out, and it's just great. And they do all make it to the end too. There's lots of I love. Like, for example, the mall, they grab everything. I mean, it makes the mall for a zombie film, that was a genius idea, because it makes perfect sense. Like, you see, like, for example, the zombies, like, I always think of scenarios for zombie apocalypse, and like, if the zombie apocalypse happened, like how it would go. And in the mall, you see, for example, like, they turn on the music and you see the zombies react to it. And one of the other things they do is they steal things from the mall and use it as supplies, and then they eventually earn the sheriff guy who they don't trust at first, they end up trusting him. And they have guns and all that, they use flares. And when people die, oh, they die. Like, people get ambushed, there's a lady who dies at the apartment scene in the beginning. It's just perfect. So, I'm not going to keep this review any longer, because this is only like the second time I've seen Dawn of the Dead for myself. But all I can say, guys, is I really enjoyed Dawn of the Dead, and I will definitely watch it again, because that's how much I enjoyed it. Yeah, great characters. You got a great story. The score fit, but could have been more memorable, but that's all right. You got great acting, great atmosphere, great locations, great setting, all the stuff you can look for. Oh, forgot to mention, it takes place in Philadelphia, and you see the move all around the East Coast, which is really makes sense because it's small. But in closing, I really enjoyed Dawn of the Dead. So in the next review, you will see me talk about my favorite zombie film of all time, Day of the Dead. Now, I'm not sure, I apologize for the sun right now, because currently on the road I'm driving, the sun is just pointing directly at me, but there's nothing you can do. So, in the next review, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. For the Grand Theft Auto fans, like myself and everybody who watches my Let's Plays, Vice City Stories references Vice City Stories references this movie. In the mission Dawn of the Dead, that's a reference to this movie, Dawn of the Dead, because it takes place in the mall. But I know this review is very short, but this film really, I just think, speaks for itself on why it's good, why it's a fan favorite, why I enjoy it, and why it gets so many good reviews and so much praise. So I really enjoyed Dawn of the Dead, and I will see you guys for my next review on the list, which is Day of the Dead. So, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for the next ones. Bye-bye!